All right. Hello, everybody. We
Hello.
are live online here. A Democrat and a Republican walk into a bar, or in our case, Sean walked into his living room, it looks like, and I
Yep.
am sitting in a rental car outside of Yosemite National Park.
Yeah. We pulled you away from your vacation to bring this very special episode of DVR in the bar because it's been a heck of a week. And I
It
text. Yeah.
it has.
So we
And
we yeah. Go
And
ahead.
I've been trying to keep up. I'm just saying, like, I've been trying to keep up, but I've literally been in national parks without service. I had to come down off the mountain to get service to do this today. So I'm pretty up to date as far as what's going on as much as possible. But maybe I'm coming with a little bit of a fresh perspective because I've been
I
missing
like
all
this.
of the usual, like, blah blah
I
blah.
think this is good though because I think we get this opportunity to sort of get that fresh view from the first time. You're almost like living under a rock type of situation. So
Or on a
uh
rock.
Otter Rock. Well, we texted about this shortly after Saturday, which was the big news that started off this week, which was the failed assassination attempt on President Trump. Which I think, when we talk about unity, that's something that this show. I mean, we're not very unified on issues, and I don't think unity is really the best word we should be using. I think civility is a much better term to use because I think on issues, you and me disagree on so much, we're not going to be united. But we can, and the purpose of the show is to show civility and to show that we can disagree respectfully. But I wanted to know, did you have any thoughts on that whole situation, and what have you read about it so far?
So here's the thing. I was literally standing in like a grocery store in Arizona,
Mhm.
um, and when we got the news, like the news came
Yeah.
through, and it was a shock. Like, I was
Yeah.
getting messages, came down. You had sent me some messages. Other people were like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" Saw the footage of it, and I was very surprised. I was
Mhm.
surprised. Um, I know that we've had a lot of heated rhetoric, but I guess I was just surprised that that was the venue, that was the situation. And then there was a lot of other surprises that came after that, but I'll let you give an initial reaction to all that as well.
Yeah, so I was actually at the movies. I was going to see the new Sound of Hope movie when I got the notifications, and I was spent like half of the movie with Bluetooth in my ear, listening to the news while watching the movie, because I was like,
Yeah.
this is intense. Like this is history in the making, and it's shocking. I will have to say I'm not surprised. I mean, you're right. Our politics has gotten so heated these days that I figured it was inevitable. And I also knew when obviously the Secret Service reported this recently, but I had a feeling that Iran was going to target him during the election. I figured there was going to be attempts with that. Now, I don't know how much you've been following with the Secret Service itself and the not
Yeah.
necessarily blunders. I think honestly the Secret Service agents themselves did what they could, but there was a lot of things they could have done better on. I definitely think that they should have caught that shooter much earlier. Chris Comparatore, who is the individual who passed away, shielding his family, would still be alive today if that was the case. Um, there, this was a serious security risk. I do believe the Secret Service director should resign over it. This is not something you should have on your watch. Period. Like Trump or not, it's a good thing he didn't die. I think we would have been in uh, a very dangerous situation for our country if he was assassinated. I do believe that. I'm thankful that he's alive. I'm very thankful that he and those other two individuals are recovering as well. The other thing I really wanted to talk about when it comes to the shooting is something we talk about on the show quite a bit. And it's usually you're the one talking about it, and I'm the one. But anyway, I have said multiple times on the show that rhetoric, if someone misinterprets what someone says, that doesn't mean that is the direct cause of the violence. And I know you have generally had been concerned about rhetoric causing violence, and we've had those disagreements. And as Republicans are over here trying to say the Democratic rhetoric of calling him an authoritarian and this and this and that, and I guess Joe Biden said put him in the crosshairs, which is ridiculous because obviously he meant focus on him. But with all of those situations, I have to reaffirm that case that just because we have heated rhetoric and heated campaign, someone saying something that is misinterpreted by another individual does not mean that individual is at fault. And we've had disagreements, of course, over this in the past, but I feel the need to bring that up because I am a free, we talked about freedom of speech during the RNC. And if anyone has freedom of speech, it's the Democrats who want to continue to call our guy an authoritarian and a Christo-fascist and all of that.
Okay, so listen, authoritarian is not a violent language. Okay, having the head of the Republican Party say that he wants to eliminate all Democrats in the state of Florida is violent rhetoric. So there's a difference between labeling something that they espouse to, by the way.
So here's we don't espouse to authoritarianism. Let's go back to it. But
yeah, right.
Here's the thing: if authoritarianism and dictatorships are so antithetical to everything America stands for, and we are taught, quite frankly, to rebel against tyranny. So what I'm getting at is just because someone says something, whether it's they're a dictator, therefore implying that we have to take out the threat to our country, the existential threat to America per se, or if it's, threesome lover Christian Ziegler saying, let's eliminate all the Democrats, by which I'm pretty sure he meant, let's make sure there's none elected into office, which is a different question altogether, but not violence. I think if someone misinterprets that and engages in violence or takes from it some sort of call to action for violence, that person's not at fault. We have to put the blame at the individual committing the crime. And in this case,
absolutely.
Here's the other thing as well.
But let's not let people who have violent rhetoric and use violent rhetoric for political purposes off the hook here.
Let's not do that. There. So here's the other thing, because we're going to talk about the convention as well. And the thing is, when it comes to unity, it takes both of us. And I really think civility is a better term than unity, because I don't think on policy we can really be united. I think there's a lot of differences in fundamental values, quite frankly, but we need to be civil about it, and we need to be able to respect each other and see each other as fellow American citizens, just wanting to do what's best for our country, even though we disagree on the how. And so, but that takes a two-way street, and it does mean that Republicans have to tone down the rhetoric as well as Democrats. But I 100% agree with you there. And, I felt that, and we'll talk about the Trump's convention speech, but it was half.
Yeah. So I want to look back to let's talk a little bit about some of the components of the assassination attempt as well, because there was also, and I don't know if you know this, but there were violent threats that were sent out to Democrats across the state of Florida, to the extent that the Florida Democratic Party was pulling back, saying, hey, we have, threats. We don't want to send people out because there was retaliation. There was people saying, hey, let's get them wherever. So we were worried about people, and are still concerned about people getting attacked in retaliation.
Which we shouldn't have, and I 100% agree. And I know that for a fact. I've heard Republicans in my inner circle were saying, how are we going to retaliate? How are we going to fight back? And I was trying to tell them, we have to be very careful not to respond with anger with this. We have to be very careful because, it's not the everyday Democrats' fault that this kid tried to assassinate the president. And here's the other thing, too. We don't know why he tried to assassinate the president. We have diddly squat on this dude. And honestly, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it feels suspicious that we haven't found. I don't know what would be more suspicious, if we found the manifesto really quickly, or that there is no manifesto or anything whatsoever detailing why he did this.
It is
a loner. So we don't know what he was. He was a registered Republican who donated to Democrats. Was he a never Trumper? Was he just a loner who wanted to make a name for himself like Hinckley? Who is this guy? We don't know. So how can we?
I did hear a good take.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
did hear a good take on this. So listen, and actually this is very apropos given our conversation on rhetoric. Okay. Um, the so it was called to my attention through another podcast that I listened to, by Gaslit Nation with Andrea Chalupa. I love that you're just like sparking a J right now too, by
Uh,
the way.
I need to. I was like getting very agitated, so I'm like, hang on, let's calm this down.
Oh my God, hilarious. Okay. So anyway, so one of the things that she put forward was that one of the compelling factors for this young man in trying to shoot and assassinate President Trump was a call to action from Alex Jones, who had a discussion on a recent podcast with Ivan Ranklin. And I don't remember if you remember any of our discussions about Ivan Ranklin, but he is a Russian asset that has been playing around in our backyard here, with Michael Flynn and Michael Thompson and Madison
Mm.
Cawthorn and all these other folks. But anyway, so Alex Jones and Ivan Ranklin were having a discussion basically saying, look, they wanted somebody to assassinate Trump because they thought that it would expedite this revolution of conservatism. And
Mm.
that right now is kind of the only thing that makes sense to me at this point, is that maybe this, well, no, because otherwise
Here's
it's
the thing.
like,
I've heard similar conspiracy theories as well. Someone posted that the bunch of people shorted his Truth Social account. The not the Truth Social like company, and
uh-huh.
three of the people who shorted it were Trump Jr., Giuliani, and someone else close to Trump. I forgot the name. Oops, to quote Rick Perry. But so there's a lot of suspicion that, yeah, that I've heard the rumor and the possibility that it might have been an inside job. But we can't even. I don't even want to think about that, and we can't even jump. That's such a crazy thing to jump to a conclusion on. And
No, and I will say this right now. Okay, let
what?
me say a couple of things. First of all, political violence is not
Yeah,
appropriate, and we
never.
definitely, need to make sure that as Americans we are having civil discourse and we are making our battleground the ballot box. Okay.
Yeah,
So let me say that
battle of
first and
ideas.
foremost. And second, let's I don't think that there's a conspiracy, okay? Because I know there's a lot of stuff going around, and because it seems so weird, and we like to have tidy answers for things,
Hmm.
but I don't think that there is one. I do think that,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe there is something that was going on with this individual. Maybe he was influenced by somebody like Alex Jones. Maybe it was something along the lines of, other people, or some reason that he decided to be there. Okay. That is not a grand conspiracy. And I say that because I fundamentally like grand conspiracies are super hard to pull off. Like it's
Yeah.
just not like a
This
likely
idea,
scenario.
even with stuff like the WEF, like I hear this so much from our side, and the globalist agenda, and this idea that Klaus Schwab somehow controls everything. The WEF is a network of very powerful people.
Right.
They individually control different aspects, but they don't collectively control everything, and there is still free agency and free reign. Now, mind you, that
Right.
doesn't change the fact that there are, large multinational corporations that have a massive effect on
Sure.
global affairs.
Sure.
But it's like this a cabal that's trying to like cause everyone to own nothing. Well, if you own nothing, then all of these rich capitalists would also own nothing. So it's like if we all own nothing and are happy about it, that means then we get to like hang out in their yachts and their mansions because they don't own that either.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, there's not like a plan like
Yeah.
that necessarily, but there are different actors that are acting. Now, sometimes there are a plan like Project 2025, which we can talk about today or another time if you want,
Yeah,
but
we have to do that one another time. I wonder
let's
if
do that one another time. We'll dive into
we'll
that
do
one.
that and bring
But
that one back.
for the most part, it's like, there's people, groups, organizations with their vested interests, and they're acting on their interests, essentially.
Yeah,
And
essentially.
sometimes those interests align, right?
And
And
sometimes they
that's where
collide,
you
and
have
then that's where you
political
have
convenience and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I don't
That's
think
why,
any
for
of that is in
example,
play here. I really don't. I think that this young man did his thing based on whatever he was going on in his mind. Now,
yeah,
I will say what's interesting is that at the same time, there was this threat that came, that was uncovered that Iran was planning an assassination attempt.
yeah.
Which I didn't I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility in like my world view of like how this 2024 election was going to go about. But I just definitely didn't I didn't see it coming. I'll say that. What do you think about that?
I have been long expecting Iran to assassinate Trump, honestly, because they said after Soleimani's assassination that they would get
Well,
revenge and that they would and that they had patience. And so I figured they were gonna like drop him at Mar-a-Lago or something, like years ago. Like I was shocked he was able to announce his candidacy. I honestly thought Iran would have gotten him before he would have announced his candidacy. Um,
interesting.
but I had a
I just
feeling.
feel like assassination is like so 1970s. Like, I don't know. That's how
It's
I feel.
so
I'm like,
it's
I was like,
so
oh,
old.
like another country was going to assassinate Trump. Like, it's like a James Bond
It
movie.
really is. No, but it makes sense. They wanted retaliation. President Trump is not good for their national interests, quite frankly, because of his opposition to them. So I'm still even thinking that they may still try to do it. What I
Who
was kind of
knows? Apparently, assassination's on the table now.
here
I
is
didn't
my
even think
thought.
about it.
Here is the thought that I had, and you'll love it because it's funny. But my thinking is he needs a taste tester because I feel like what they could do is just poison his Big Mac. It's like put some toxins in his like McDonald's
Some,
burger or
something
something.
in the Diet Coke or
Yeah, exactly. So he needs like a food taste tester, like in like old kingdom times.
oh
It's
my
like,
god.
let me make sure your burger is secure, Mr. President. If they like
Uh
choke and die. Yeah, no, these things
yep,
are
we're
crazy.
living in the most bizarre timeline,
Yeah,
Sean.
exactly.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's
Like
a
this is
bizarre world.
I literally like I got into politics like, when I was a teenager and stuff and I loved it and I
You got
loved it
him
because
in
it
the
was
good
like
years.
smart people debating
Exactly.
about stuff and it was like, you know, I just can't believe like where we are today. Like we're
It's
talking about
very
assassinations. Like we're talking about
well.
yeah,
Let's
poisoning
actually
and
move.
I don't even know.
Well, let's move
It's
him
so
forward
bizarre.
for that because you're right. There used to be a time where politicians were intellectual. You had intellectual liberals and intellectual conservatives. You know, people like William F. Buckley, for example, or Jack Kemp. But
Hold on a second. There's a tractor going by. All right. Now
but
I can
here's
hear.
why I want to bring this up because we have to talk about some of the craziness at the RNC. And
All right.
specifically, I have to talk about what was honestly my favorite part of the night, but I think is a great juxtaposition of what we were just talking about with all the intellectuals. Because my favorite speech, I would really describe it more of a performance of the night, was Hulk Hogan showing up and just like, brother, you're ripping up his shirt. You going after my hero, brother. I grew up.
So you've seen Idiocracy, right?
Yes, yes. I was thinking that too. I loved it. I was a kid in the '90s. I was very young, but I had some fascination with wrestling. But I only knew like the big ones. So like Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker were like the only three I knew, and I wasn't like heavily following it, but I knew some of the people when I watched it, and so I was geeking out over it. I was super excited, but it was also it's funny because you juxtapose that to the 80s and the 90s and the intellectual minds in our party. But what I did actually love also, excuse me, to juxtapose the intellectuals is so much of the convention had everyday Americans, people coming to speak. You had mothers who lost their children to fentanyl crises. You had different workers from different service industry workers, farmers, small business owners. So there was a lot of focus on everyday Americans, which I really appreciated and I think was very powerful. Another one of my actual favorite speech, as opposed to the gimmick of Hulk, my favorite speech was from Sean Fain from the Teamsters Union, was the keynote for the first night. And Sean Fain,
It wasn't Shane. It wasn't Sean Fain. It was some O'Brien.
Sean O'Brien. Let me look
It was
up.
something O'Brien. No, because Sean Fain is AFL-CIO.
Okay, let me figure out who runs Teamsters.
Who's already endorsed Biden, by the way.
Yeah, whoever runs
O'Brien
the
was the
union,
guy's last
Sean
name.
O'Brien, yes. This is the guy, when we talked about this on the show a few years ago, this is the guy who nearly got into a fight with Mark Wayne Mullen, right? And so he was a very powerful speaker. He went after the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. He went after the corporate elites. He took a sledgehammer.
U.S. Chamber of Commerce, who endorses almost all Republican candidates.
I was going to say, this is the thing. He took a frickin' sledgehammer to the corporate country club Republicans. And I think that this is going to be the next big schism in our party. Because when Trump took over, the schism was between the non-interventionists and the interventionists. And Trump effectively pushed out all the interventionist neoconservatives, except for a handful. I think the worker business divide is going to be the next one. I genuinely think that the Republicans are Republican base, and a lot of Republican elected officials are trying to move towards the working class. Now, we haven't been good at that for years. And
you don't really have pro-working class policies.
Yes, as of right now, you are absolutely correct. But I think that is going to change, and I think Sean O'Brien's speech really fueled that, and I am personally excited for it. We really need to be a party of the working class and the forgotten men and women, which, of course, would bring us to the running mate, J.D. Vance, who...
But unfortunately, you still remain the party of the oligarchs.
Right now, look, we still... I will admit, this is going to take some time. You know, it didn't
J.D. Vance of the working man is a hedge fund guy.
Yeah,
and a
hedge
New York
fund manager, J.D. Vance. You're right.
Author.
Well, at least he got there on his own. He didn't get it from $1 million loan from his father. So at least there's that. Here's what I want to say about J.D. I think his story is amazing. I think what he had to overcome is what a lot of Americans are going through, and he understands their struggles, and that's super important. I do think he symbolizes the forgotten men and women. Yes, he is a venture capitalist, or was a venture capitalist, Yale graduate from an elite school, very intelligent guy. We know he's a very intelligent guy, but it's how he got there that I think is more important than him getting there. My biggest issue with JD, because we were texting about this back and forth as well, my issue is Trump said he wanted someone who can become president. And I really wanted Doug Burgum. And apparently I am the only Republican, except for Doug Burgum maybe, that wanted Doug Burgum as the freaking running mate. I hate all of my Republicans right now. I'm like,
they were down to the line, though. They were down to the line with Rubio and Burgum and J.D. Vance.
I would talk to, was even in the running. That was
yeah. What I think is funny is that our Congressman Byron Donalds did not get the nod for VP, but still seems to be very cozy up with Trump. We know that his wife Erica is likely to be appointed Secretary of Education.
His entire speech was on education and school choice. I was like, he is teeing it up for Erica for Education Secretary. Trump has brought it up before. Here's the other thing, too. I'm going to say something that I think might make news. If Erica is chosen as Education Secretary, I don't think Byron runs for governor. Because, and I've known the Donalds for a while. I've known them since their first one in 2012. And they kind of do this thing where if one of them's running, one of them is not. And so with Byron, when he ran for Congress, people were trying to push him to run again, and he didn't because Erica at the time was running for school board. Then he ran for state representative, and Erica did not run again for school board. So I think if she gets Secretary of Education, she's going to be like, all right, now it's my turn. You can run for your congressional seat because that way you'll be in D.C. with me. but you can't run for governor and take me away from this. So I think if Erica is education secretary, Byron doesn't run for governor, which also means if Byron is super ambitious, does he tell Trump not to choose his wife for education secretary? Some fun things to think about.
No, because that's a good ladder to climb. And this is what I was going to say on that. So this is where I think actually JD Vance and Byron Donalds are birds of a feather, is that they both know where their bread is buttered. They both know how to get it to the top, because as we know, JD Vance was not a Trump supporter, right?
Mm-mm.
And it's quite clear from a lot of things that are going on personally with JD Vance and personally with Byron. I don't know if you saw the whole article from the interview with Byron's ex-wife. Oh, we did. We talked about that.
Yeah, I did. It was interesting to finally see her speak out about, come out about that.
Yeah, the author said that to me. He's like, this wouldn't have happened without you. I was like, thank you. So, but anyway, so yeah, that all happened. But because, okay, so basically what I see them as, they're ladder climbers. They don't care. Like, I don't really believe anything that JD Vance says at this point, because he's very clearly trying to just do the thing, right?
Well, aren't we all in the Republican Party? Haven't we all been forced to bend the knee to our once and future king?
I mean, that's y'all, though. That's
your point.
Like,
your point. I think it's very well taken. Ironically, I kind of like the fact that he was anti-Trump before becoming Trump, because it does to me show, yes, he might very much be bullshitting it, but that does mean that when he gets to the vice presidency, he's not going to fold for Trump. That's what I think, at least. You may disagree with me on that, but here's the thing, what I wanted to get at with
he's all in. He's all in for Project 2025. He's all in for his rising star.
We're going to talk about Project 2025 when you're back off of vacation, because I want to actually read the full 900 pages and make sure I know what's in it before I talk about it. But I do want to be clear, Project 2025 is from the Heritage Foundation, and though we do know a lot of these administrations take from these different think tanks, the agenda, Project 2025, is not the official Trump or RNC policy platform.
But let's be fair, the Heritage Foundation has put forth the official governing platform of the Republican Party for every Republican president going back to Nixon, and Reagan was the first one that full-throated endorsed and just let the Heritage Foundation think tank folks do with the administration what they would.
Heritage Foundation does have a lot of power, but it doesn't necessarily mean that again, it's not Trump's agenda. It's a Heritage Foundation agenda and blueprint, and I intend to read it in full so I know what's actually in it. So I'm not,
they are giving to him.
Everything we're talking about with this is it's excerpts. And so I definitely want to know what it's really about. But you're right. Look, think tanks have a lot of these powers for in building the policy, because they do all the research and all the hard work, and they just give the guy a paper, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican.
There is no Democratic equivalent.
There are Democratic think tanks. Come on.
Yeah, there are, but not like the Heritage Foundation. There's nobody pulling the strings in the way the Democrats, the way that the Heritage Foundation. And listen, I am telling you, as somebody who has been on Capitol Hill, has gone to Heritage Foundation functions, there is no Democratic equivalent.
That is probably true, honestly. Heritage is, I think, the oldest conservative think tank. I think it was founded for that reason. But again,
I always went to the Heritage Foundation women's luncheons because they had nice food. Not gonna lie. And I was a poor intern.
We know, poor interns, you got to go to where the food is at, for sure.
But hey, let's kind of like go into the Trump speech at RNC.
Okay, so here's the thing. When I first saw the speech, I thought it was very unifying. The problem was, I fell asleep halfway through. So when I woke up, it was an hour and a half speech, and I was tired, and so I watched it at one and a half speed, and it was like the first half was very unifying and calm and humble, and I thought we're finally getting a change. And then he's like, "Crazy Nancy, deface the press and deface the nation or whatever," and he's like, "Oh, I guess he had a factory reset and he's back to his original settings." So nothing's changed with Trump, and this goes back to my point that I said earlier. Unity and civility starts with both sides, and it will require President Trump to be more civil, and it will require Democrats to be more civil. Now, being civil doesn't mean you don't bring up the record. Trump needs to run, Trump going after Biden's record on inflation and the economy and border security, that's good. And Biden going after Trump's issues with criminal issues and different policies that have been, and different things that he's just been saying that have been cringy and all that type of stuff. Going after that, going after him, trying to challenge the election, going after him stealing documents and all that type of stuff. All these attacks, need to happen because it's how you differentiate yourself as candidates. You have to figure out what you are as opposed to the other guy, and why the other guy is bad and why you are good. So those differentiations need to happen in a campaign. They shouldn't not happen. But there's a difference between like differentiating on Joe Biden's policies on the border and then attacking Nancy Pelosi as crazy Nancy or this and this and that. So I had been hopeful that it would have humbled him. I actually said that to my pastor when we were watching the Trump thing, that hopefully this would have humbled him. It did not. Trump still suffers. My biggest issue with Trump has always been he suffers the sin of pride. There are a lot of ways where I do feel he is loving and humble and caring, but he does suffer the sin of pride, and I don't think this changed him, unfortunately, which is what I was hoping for. But it was a heck of a speech. We tried. We tried. We were hopeful.
It was weird. So I was like listening and watching. And this was funny. So I didn't get all the way to the end. It sounds like I got further than you, because I was driving up the mountain in Yosemite to my campground. Okay. So I listened until I lost signal.
Yeah. Fair.
But it was like the beginning part was so like, he sounded weird. Honestly, he sounded weird because he was like trying to be calm and like unifying and all this stuff. I'm like, well, that's really weird. And then
into a thing, it's like, oh, this is the Trump we know.
Right. And then honestly, my biggest thing, which has been a perennial issue with me that I've had with Trump, is the lies. Like I have a problem when you say, look, inflation is going up. Inflation is not going up. Inflation is going down. Right. I have a problem when you say crime is going up, because crime is not going up. Crime is going down. Right. Like, I don't mind making issues and talking about things that are real, but it's like, and by the way, I will say too, tying fentanyl to the border is a false equivalency.
Yeah.
It's not where fentanyl is coming through. And tying it to immigration is dangerous. And it's really leading people down the wrong path in terms of thinking what the solution is going to be.
I get my fentanyl from good American drug dealers. That is where
that is where the majority of fentanyl is coming through. Because the majority of fentanyl is coming through the border through ports of entry through American citizens. Okay. Like that's a fact. And I just
good old-fashioned American fentanyl.
Just good old-fashioned American entrepreneurship. What do you want? Like, so that's what I have. And then it went back. Yeah, the childish, things. It was weird that Melania was there too. I don't know. It was.
I'm glad that she was able to show her face, and I know she is not very interested. She looked very uncomfortable. She does not. She very clearly does not want this going on. She does not want to be a part of this. So. But what I wanted,
Kid Rock was there.
Kid Rock. It was like
I explained to my kids that he used to live across the street from their grandparents. It's very awkward.
Interesting.
Very awkward. And they're like, "Are they friends with him?" I was like,
something that I thought was that I thought was pretty ridiculous. That really just opened us up to so much criticism. That was my phone. Was we cannot honestly say that people were better off 4 years ago, because 4 years ago was COVID. Let's stop. And mind you, I was honestly better off 4 years ago because even though it was COVID, I had a good job. But most people weren't. And so everyone's saying, you remember where you were 4 years ago? Yes, we were all locked down at home. 5
Yeah.
years ago, 6 years ago. Go further back in time. Okay, I think overall, yes, a lot of people were economically better under Trump than under Biden. And in terms of inflation, you're right. Inflation is going down now. But between Trump and Biden, that inflation rate has gone up. That is also a fact. And so, yes, in general, under Trump, I think a lot of people were better until COVID, which, as you of course point out, we can't just dismiss COVID. But
Well,
regardless,
and I think
just
what
saying
they're
4 years
poking
ago, I'm
on,
like, why?
what they're poking on is something real though, and that's wage stagnation, right? We have had wage stagnation since the 70s. And so,
Yep.
yes, life is more expensive. Rent is more expensive. Houses are more expensive. Food is more expensive, and we're not getting paid as much. So
Yep. You're
it's
going to
not
have
that
Republicans
the
discover
pain
income
isn't real. The
inequality.
pain is
Stop.
real.
You're going to have them discover income inequality, and we're going to have to solve that issue too. Danger. No, you're right.
I will
mean, a
say
lot
this.
of this
I will
is
say
an
this.
income inequality issue, unfortunately. That's 100% true, though.
Yeah, I will say this. As I was watching and the hubbub and the Trump coming out on stage to like lights that said Trump,
Yep.
the ridiculous shit with the ear, everybody putting the thing on the
I
ear.
heard something like that. I didn't see
I
anyone
mean,
with it,
it
but I was
was,
right.
I mean, listen, you guys got us on this. You guys got us on this. Like the Republicans know how to put on a show. You got Kid Rock, you got Hulk Hogan, you got Trump coming out and his name in lights. I mean,
We're performers.
it was exciting. It was exciting, right? Like, I'm going to be going to the Democratic National Convention.
And who are you going to vote for? Because we're still, and that's the other thing I really wanted to talk about here. Because that's the thing. You're right. It's contrasting the situation.
It better be as much of a party. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
I want the hype. I want the energy. I want all of that.
Well, you might get it. So I don't know how much you've been following on the whole Biden situation, and I've
been following it.
Right.
It's a weird scenario. But yeah, tell us your take.
So first off, I think it's a stark contrast, like you said, when it comes to the unity of the Republican Party under their nominee, and the utter clusterfuck that's going on in the Democratic Party, where everyone is just freaking going all assassinate Caesar right now. It's like everyone surrounded him and stabbing Joe Biden to death. This is, and mind you, I know that as a Republican, I want to face Joe Biden because I think we can beat him. But I'm going to take a step back from that. The reason I'm really pissed off about this is because this is a coup d'etat. This is a coup d'etat within the Democratic Party. This is they are trying to force him out through all these stories. It was during the debate, or not the debate, the Trump speech, where I was getting the notifications, and this is from Newsmax saying that he's going to drop out in the coming days. And then tomorrow, his campaign's denying it, and Jen O'Malley's on Morning Joe saying, no, I know. And she didn't really make a strong case. So I still think it's possible he does drop out. But apparently the strategy from Democrats is we're going to pressure him to drop out because we don't want him. And that is, I just can't believe like that your party would be so stupid to shoot yourself in the foot like this. Like
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you. We're
really good at punching ourselves in the dick.
I know. This is, I feel so bad for you guys. I mean, like, this is.
I said this before. I'm like, just at this point, we're so far into the election. Just weekend at Bernie's that shit all the way to the end. I don't give a fuck. Like, that's where I am, because we do not have the
and Biden can turn it around.
Money.
Biden can turn it around in the second debate. We've known, you know, he can show up strong when he needs to. All right, he has before, and he can again. So this jumping of ship that happened so quickly, I mean, the debate was bad, but I didn't think it was that bad that you need to be like, kick him out.
Well, what I guess is the House Democrats did some kind of poll, and it's like they're not seeing that he's going to win. Here's the thing. They should have done this before. They should have done this a long time ago.
Exactly.
It should have been a year ago. this should have been okay. Let's have a
Democrats.
primary.
Mhm. I mean, Democrats
And
closed out the primaries. There's only, I mean, frickin' Florida didn't even have a primary.
right.
Y'all party just went and said, "Well, make them our now our endorsement by acclamation."
Hmm.
Bull crap. It's bull. And now they're like, "Oh, we don't want to lie in the bed that we made." This is what the Democrats did. Stick with your
Yeah.
freaking nominee. That's what Republicans are doing. You had all the people like Nikki Haley and all these people who hated Trump,
Yep.
bending
Rally
the
up.
knee.
That's
Why?
how you
Because
win.
that's what we do. That's what we do. I've never been the biggest fan of Trump, but guess what? I want to win, so I'm at the very least biting my tongue on certain things. But the point I'm trying to make is
Oh
that
yeah.
you Democrats. This is how it's a nightmare scenario. And so my question to you, I guess, is if he does drop out, obviously that clears you to vote. Are you going Harris? Are you going someone else?
I have
What do
no
you
fucking idea. Like this is the thing. I'm like,
you haven't given it some
because
thought?
I don't know. Well, no, because so they're gonna do at this point in time, it's the party elites and the are pulling the strings. Like none of the rest of us all the way down have any say, frankly. So it'll be a cleared path of some kind. It will not be like this kind of contested convention where people are doing it. There's no way that they'll do it like that. It
No,
will
that'll be tough.
be okay, here's somebody and then everybody votes
Well,
for it.
I will
I don't
say,
know, you know, if they're going to
oh,
go
it
with
would have to
Harris.
be, yeah, it would have to be
But
Harris as if they're going to be
I
anoint
I have
someone.
no idea. I literally I've said this so many times to people and friends, like out of 25 years, 30 years in the game, I cannot predict shit this year.
Mhm.
Like there is just so much
I
different
mean,
has
who
happened.
could have predicted? Yeah, this has been such a crazy year. I mean, you get Trump nearly getting assassinated, Biden nearly dropping out. Like, what the heck is going on with this election? You're 100% right. This is nuts.
Listen,
Um,
I'm going to tell you, I had a dirty little fantasy that I was like, both of them just kind of kick the bucket. And then we both get like a clean slate because this is like the least, like on both sides, right? It's like the least
yeah,
popular candidates ever. It's a replay of
yeah.
election that nobody wanted to go through again. And it was just kind of like, man, if we could just get just like a little clean slate here and we can just, rally to the end.
Honestly, that's why I'm excited for 2028 because 2028 we're probably going to have finally some new people, or probably it's going to be Harris and Vance at that point. But
Who knows? Who knows?
so
Who knows? It also depends on what Trump is going to do, and because I do think that we're at the situation too, and this has been my consternation is like, okay, great, let's say Biden wins, or let's say whoever the fuck else the Democrats get their shit together and go behind wins. Okay, it's already being telegraphed that Trump is not going to concede the race, right?
yeah,
So what? So what happens then, right? And
we're back to January 6th
yeah, we're
again.
back to square one. And then if Trump wins, then we have a full throated Project 2025, and
I don't
there
think we
may
do. But
never
okay.
be another election.
Oh my
Because
God!
y'all are on
Come
the
on, no, that's so
unchoosable
ridiculous.
Republic train,
You
or
think it's
we'll
like
just have elections like Putin has elections, right?
oh my God,
Right? 96%.
no,
I don't know. You tell me. These are
no,
your
we're
people.
not. That's not. I will tell you, and I will tell you that that's not going to happen. We're going to keep
Okay.
having normal elections. We're not taking. This is not like Hitler or Stalin or Putin, where we're trying to destroy democracy. Okay.
You guys have already destroyed democracy. You literally won't even say it anymore. Trump said it last night, and I was like, oh, wow, that's cool, because I thought we were a constitutional republic and a democracy was something that the liberals made up.
That's a fair point. We do get into this discussion on whether or not we're a democracy or a republic, and I hate the semantics argument. But again, the point is,
Because it's eroding the concept of democracy, and that's the point.
I think I agree with you that not conceding an election is detrimental to our democratic process. But again, if Trump loses again, I agree with you. We're in a dangerous situation. and we need to take that seriously. And I do think it's unfortunate that there are so many in my party who feel the need to take to the revolution to a revolutionary standpoint, like it's 1776. Like, if you read the
I'm
Declaration
pretty
of
sure that was the theme of January 6th. They had
yeah,
shirts.
exactly. This is their 1776 moment, is what they called it. Exactly. And this is not
Uh-huh.
1776. And if you read the Declaration of Independence, even though it talks about altering or
Don't
abolishing the
call 'em.
government, in the next line, it says that prudence does not have us do this under small and transient causes. A 4-year presidential term is a small and transient cause. Neither Biden nor Obama nor Bush nor Clinton did anything, in my opinion, at all worthy of revolution. They've done things I've disliked. They've done things that have probably been unconstitutional, but they've never done anything to the level of dictatorship. And Trump won't do it either, as much as everyone on your side seems to think that's the case. I don't think he's that type of I don't think that's going to happen.
I hope you're right.
I
Sean, I hope you're right.
We're going to have an election in 2028, and we'll have a free and fair election. And I believe we'll have a free and fair election in this election too. And who knows what the frick is going to happen? Maybe Robert F. Kennedy runs away with this for some reason. Swear to God, with his brain worm at this point, he seems
Lord
to
help
be.
us. Jill Stein's over there licking her chops, getting ready. For a moment. God. Anyway, what a complete and utter shit show we have for the 2024 election. Very exciting. I am very glad that I've been out of communications with most of this for the past week.
Yep.
And
to
be honest,
you have another 10 days or so with this, right? Because that's right. You're out there for a little bit longer.
Yes, I have 2 more days in the park. So probably the next message will be something about whether Joe Biden resigning or maybe he'll get assassinated too. Who knows at this point? I have no idea.
Oh God, hopefully not.
Who knows?
Deal with 2
maybe Iran's just taking everybody out. And then we throw in Iran, classic 1970s, espionage, assassination. Like this is weird. It's so super weird.
So Bond.
But what we can do is what you and I have been doing, which is keep talking about it, having open dialogue, showing civility, showing, having some ability to reflect and laugh at ourselves and our parties and try to keep moving forward and focus on local elections. So we did have our debate, and I know we have some more debates planned coming up, right?
We're trying to get them for August, because I know you're on vacation for a bit. So I'm trying to. I think I can get down District 4 for sure, and I might have to combine Districts 2 and 3, because I'm not sure if I can get everyone from both of those. But we want to try to get them during when the mail-in ballots are going out. So that first and second week of August. I do know August 5th.
Oh, mail-in ballots have already hit.
Oh, they already hit. So we'll hit them. We'll do the first and second week of August. So for mail-in and early voting period, so that way people who are going to be doing that can make their decision. So happy to be providing the service to our community, and thank you all for coming to and making that District 5 debate, which was so exciting. It was a huge debate, the best debate, better than any debate you've ever seen. I can't really do a Trump impression, but it was a great debate.
It was good. It was good.
And
that will be coming out. I got that edited, so we'll get that out for those of you that want to watch, and we'll direct you towards that on the Big Mouth Media Network. But yeah, I need to go process this. I'm gonna go zen out in the mountains here for a little bit.
Yep. Go disconnect yourself. Go disconnect yourself, and by the time you get back, we'll figure out whether or not you're voting for Biden, or you have to figure out who else you're gonna vote for.
And I will say this. The only thing that I've seen from the DNC is a breakfast package. Where is the alcohol package that we are going to need to get through this convention? That's what I want. God.
That is so true. You are going to need in order to make your convention as exciting as ours. There is going to need to be whiskey flowing. Whiskey.
The only thing that I can buy so far is the breakfast package. I'm like, what? So I'm just going to get up early and what? Where's the rest of it? How am I going to make it through? Anyway, so all right, so that'll be enough for us today. I need to go calm down here in the mountains. Thanks so much for joining us here. Thanks to my co-host, Republican Sean Hartman. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here. Thank you for joining us
today. Special episode. I've been the Democrat on the team here, Democratic blah, 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 blah. I'm not a nominee and candidate. I'm a Democratic pundit at this point, Dr. Cindy Banyai, and this has been a Democrat Republican walk into a bar. Let me throw on our banners here. If you enjoyed this, we would certainly love to have your support at the Big Mouth Media Network. We will be getting back to our regularly scheduled Sunday programs, hopefully at a new venue here very soon.
Yep.
But otherwise, check out Big Mouth Media at bigmouthmediafl.com, and you'll be able to watch our those debates up on YouTube very soon as well. So thanks so much for joining us here, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.